Hello and welcome to another LinkedIn Live with myself, Garth Sharif. And I'm excited that you could be here on this Tuesday morning, East Coast time, 9 a.m. Earlier for you from the Pacific Coast and other time zones on March 26th. Today, I'm just going to go through my experience. And this is not a how to use Copilot because we're also learning how to use these generative AI tools, but really my experience integrating them into Microsoft, the 365 suite that includes Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. Those are the apps that I use, which has been recently made available to those that have maybe a smaller business and have a standard 365 account or a 365 business account. Enterprise users, so if you're with a large organization, you might have had access to Copilot embedded or integrated with the Microsoft apps. That just depends on your organization. There is an additional fee to include Copilot inside of these apps. So I just want to take you through my process, and I think what I'm going to do is just add to this LinkedIn Live as I use Copilot more. Already, I can just say when we talk about generative AI and how impactful it is. I mean, a lot of the conversations in the general space has been towards the chat part of it, the chat GPT, the sort of the chatbot function and functionality and functionalizing it for professionals such as CPAs and lawyers. It's there. A lot of it is around research and maybe document reading. But with Copilot, which uses ChatGPT inside the most used apps within my professional space, and a lot of CPAs, lawyers, a lot of individuals in that space use Microsoft, that's really again another game changing aspect to this because it really reframes how much we need to know how to use something versus how we need to ask the right questions of the tool. And this is really a big part of what might change in how we apply our knowledge. Do I need to know how to write a macro in Excel? Do I need to know how to create a VLOOKUP in Excel? Do I need to know how to create a pivot table in Excel? It's all the Excel stuff, or even use Access database, or do something integrative within PowerPoint, more complicated as an instructional design exercise. Do I need to know how to do this versus do I need to know what I want to have Copilot or the generative AI partner, whatever you want to see that relationship as, assistant, be able to do it for me, but with the right prompt. Prompt is really the key thing here for us to understand that we have to get better at. How do we ask questions of the generative AI tool? And I'm going to have another LinkedIn Live about prompt writing and how to write prompts. As I've said before in other LinkedIn Lives, do you need to go out there and take a certification in Copilot, in ChatGPT, and Gemini, and just do a deep dive? I advise against this. These generative AI tools are adapting and evolving so quickly that deeper dives, obviously you want to have a level of knowledge, but the deep dive might prove to be uh, less in terms of return on an investment and time. So you definitely want to have some use, and what we've been talking a lot about in LinkedIn Live is exploration. You want to explore these tools. If you can add Copilot to your Microsoft apps, and you're a heavy user of Word, Excel, Access, PowerPoint, I don't know if it's in Visio or Power BI and other tools. I imagine it is. It would make sense for it to be in BI and other data analytic tools. But if your organization has it, you should definitely play with it. And if you don't have it, the question is it worth the cost? So let's go through that part of it. I'm going to share my screen and hopefully not share my personal information. That's my goal here in trying to share my screen today. So sharing the wrong screen. Here we go. Let me try that again. It's always interesting in the morning. And here we go. There we go. That's better. That should be better for everyone. So this is my Microsoft admin account. Now, again, I'm not going to show too much of this because I don't want to give away information that is private to me and personal information. But for me, the process of adding Copilot was a little bit of a trial and error because I went through my admin side, looked at the services, and one. I'll be honest with you, my journey was Does Copilot, isn't it just included in my business standard account? Will it get automatically added to my Microsoft apps like Word and PowerPoint? And it didn't happen. You have to pay for it. For me, it was $500 for the year. I think in the US, there's a monthly cost, $30 per month, or maybe more, $30 US per month, which it's equal to $500 Canadian per year. And it didn't give me that option, so I had to pay an annual fee. And so this is the question: do you want to pay for that if you don't have access to Copilot? I work in this space. I want to use these tools. I understand to me that these tools are going to be the tools that we use as end users with the main apps that we might use in our professional lives. So I went through this process. I did need help from a Microsoft service rep to add Copilot to the toolbar. Now, what you'll see here, and let me just take a screenshot of this. Is the best way to do this. If you look at my toolbar here, this is my toolbar for Microsoft. And let me just share another screen with that. And I'll just give you the quick clip that I grabbed of it. If you see, this is the toolbar here. And what has opened up now is this Editor Copilot. That's for Word. So that is now in the ribbon of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And again, maybe it'll be easier for others as people start to add this to their Windows app. It wasn't the simplest exercise for me because it did cause some issues in terms of just getting these apps to open up. One, you have to be on OneDrive, so the Microsoft apps will open up Copilot, but you have to have a OneDrive account. I think there's an integration there that needs to happen. So if you don't have OneDrive, which most Microsoft standard users, business users have, but if it's not active, Copilot won't activate. And that was a troubleshooting that occurred within Excel. So Excel now also has, for me, a Copilot and an Analyze Data button. So those are new parts of my toolbar, and I can do things with it. Now, the things are, what are we going to do with this? Now, one of the things to understand with ChatGPT and Microsoft is that Microsoft doesn't own ChatGPT, is not a equity investor inside OpenAI, which is still a not-for-profit organization. But if we go to this question, ChatGPT versus Microsoft Copilot, what's the difference? What's going on inside of it, inside of Copilot's use within Word and Excel and other apps? Well, Copilot is using the natural processing language advancements that OpenAI has broken through with ChatGPT, and it's integrating it into Microsoft's own development of AI within the suites of Word, Excel, and all those apps, combining them so you have a focused use of a generative AI tool within a particular app. So this is not like just going to ChatGPT or going to Gemini or going to Copilot itself as a chat bot. If you go to the websites, you can go to those. This is actually having it integrated within the app itself, and that's what this particular Q&A FAQ is answering. So that opens up possibilities to do a bunch of things with this. So this is just an blank Excel document, but here is a data set. And one of the key things, if you're going to play with Excel, Word, PowerPoint, if you're going to play and just explore how to use Copilot, which I think is the best way to learn. You can take a course, it can go through really detailed ways of creating graphs, using advanced features of Excel. But to me, you want to play with these tools. Before taking that advanced course, you want to play with them. So one of the things you might want to do is find a data set. And the question is, where do you get data sets that potentially don't cause privacy issues? Because do you want to use your own data set, maybe a client's data set to play? That could be compromising in terms of privacy and confidentiality. So you want to think about how you want to play and what data set you want to use. Obviously, you can have a blank Excel document, blank Word document, blank PowerPoint, and just play with it. And you always want to think about privacy when you're interacting with the generative AI tools. So there are a couple of sites, and this is on my own discovery. I mean, a lot of people who work in this space that want to test machine learning, deep learning, and generative AI tool. Sorry, I went to the wrong space. Kaggle. always type in the right term. So Kaggle is a site that you can use to search up data sets, like almost dummy variable data sets that you might be able to use to play. It could be financial data. That's where I got this information. And with that, you feel like, okay, this is coming from Kaggle, or there's also a Google data scientist site that will redirect you to other sites where there's publicly available data sets that you can use to test out information. You still do want to check that the information that you're using is not necessarily violating the privacy, especially if you decide to maybe use this in other ways. For me, I'm going to be using this to deliver presentations. So here's a data set that I got from Kaggle, who was actually helped in terms of the search by David Trier, who also works in this space. And so now that Copilot is available, I can play with this. So I can click on the analyze data, which is sort of an adjacent tool to Copilot, and it can already, it's looking at 100% of the data. This is already doing data analytics, and I haven't even asked it anything. It's graphing January by business unit scenario. It's really giving me some good data just by clicking on a button without a prompt at all. So already Excel, amazing. If I wanted to use Copilot, part of this is how could I use Copilot on? So I have to turn my autosave on. I'm going to use this. I'm just going to make sure because Copilot works with OneDrive, and the autosave on OneDrive has to be turned on to use Copilot. So, and if I don't do this correctly, it's trying to do this. Let me just make sure it's on. There you go. So this is one of the technical challenges that I'm having here with Excel in particular. So this was working before, it isn't working now. So I've had some Excel issues because Copilot wasn't even showing up because of the autosave. But even before we're going to Copilot, because to me, you'd first probably want to see what you can do with analyzed data. In Copilot, if it becomes active, you can do, and I'll do more LinkedIn Live with Copilot and ask it to do a VLOOKUP, ask it to do sorting. This is not meant to be a how to use Copilot, just an introduction of how I've started to integrate it and myself started to play with it. Again, this has been made available for non-enterprise users just in the last couple months. So already pretty powerful. So if you look at, let's just say, let's take another example here. Let's take a look at Word. And if we go with Copilot here. So Copilot, see, notice that it's already active with Copilot in Word without the autosave challenges that I'm having in Excel. But again, part of this is to troubleshoot. So what can I do with this? Well, this is a combination of ChatGPT and the power of Word. So one of the things I could do, for example, I'm an auditor. I'm just thinking of this situation. I'm an auditor. I have a client that's asked me for an engagement letter, or what's referred to as an engagement letter, really a contract. Standards have gone through some changes. I just want to figure out, draft an audit engagement letter for a Canadian not-for-profit company, just to see that. Right now, again, this is not thought through with proper prompt thinking. Prompt thinking involves you not writing the question right away, but thinking about how you want to partner with AI to get what you want. This is not the way to do it. You don't want to write prompts sort of impromptu. Oh, I just did that for those that are watching. I got that impromptu prompt. I don't even know that really that funny, but you want to think through the prompt process because that's going to get you better results. But that's a different LinkedIn Live. But I'll just go like this, and again, see what happens. So this is Word. This is Copilot inside of Word. And will it produce anything? It potentially will kick back and say, "I got nothing for you." I'm thinking Jeff Provost from Survivor. I got nothing for you. But it's possible that it produces a letter. And this is where the challenges become because you start playing with it and you can just see it can format things inside Word. It can create documents that are 80%, 70% finished. And here it is. This is not, and notice it gave a little bit of a warning before. So it's generating the letter. Now, one of the things I should take a look at, there was a little bit of a preamble before that, but it's generating the level. It's finishing up. That's what you're seeing here. Pretty cool for me. I'm using it very specifically for what I do, working with auditors, helping them as a completed file monitor, doing training, and it's continuing. I want to look at that precursor. This response isn't based on the document. Here's a draft. So it isn't based on the document. So one of the things that I'm working with here, what does that mean? This is a blank document. If I had more details about the client, the potential client, I can put not for profit, basis of accounting, year end dates. If I added more information to this, it could fill in those gaps where it doesn't have it right now, because right now it has placeholders for my firm because I didn't even put my firm name, my name. So if I just, and I wouldn't have to sort it, I just could just copy paste that information into it and say, please create a draft engagement letter using the information here. It would go. So here it is. So I could copy this and paste it to the clipboard, and here I have a draft engagement letter. Now, one of the things I've talked about uh, a lot is, is that a good use of Copilot within Word? Because we have to think about a few things, the prompt, and also what am I using this for? What is the risk of this? So if I really know section Canadian Auditing Standards 210 terms of engagement, then this might save me some time because at least I can do a review of this. So I think if you know the audit standards and you know what should be inside any audit engagement, what's required, and you feel comfortable reviewing this, it might save you a lot of time. Of course, there is a template and there are other places to get this, right? You can get this in the handbook. There's an appendix in the handbook in 210. You can get this from other professionals in terms of a template. But let's just say for argument's sake, we're using Copilot within Word. So I use this. The caveat is, can I proofread this with a level of knowledge? Because one of the things we've said with the alignment problem is that this could be wrong. What information is it using to build this? Is it using, I can ask for references, but is it using CAS Canadian Auditing Standard 210? Is it accurate? If I have the ability to really proofread this and say, I know what's supposed to be in here, it's done a lot of work for me. Maybe a lot of work that would be time consuming and not necessarily a good use of my time. If I don't have the knowledge with CAS 210, and this is a key document in terms of compliance and audits, there's no way I should be doing this. No way. I should be going to the source, the CPA handbook, pulling the information I need and doing it that way. Do the hard work. So where you have the knowledge to really understand what the document, whether it be Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Access database, whatever it is, to be able to read and say, okay, I'm going to be able to now use my judgment, my professional judgment to see what it's produced. Then there's a lot of things that can open up, but you have to be very, very honest with yourself. For example, even for myself, I work with the Canadian Auditing Standards. I work with CPA firms. Would I feel comfortable feeling like this is a complete document, that it hasn't missed anything, it hasn't misrepresented something? No, no, I wouldn't use this for an audit engagement letter. But I want to use it as an example because I just don't feel comfortable as a professional that this could go out to a client and it could be reviewed by peer review, by CPAB, and I missed something. So again, it opens up the door to combine ChatGPT and the power behind that generative intelligence tool with Microsoft's own work on around artificial intelligence inside these products, and it opens up a whole bunch of doors. But just be careful which doors you're going into, because some of those doors could be trap doors, and really get you into more trouble than you're saving time. So just wanted to go through just a brief overview of what I'm going to go through. I'm doing this just like a lot of people. I'm just playing around with these tools. I mean, obviously there's things I can use practically today for my business, for my productivity. But as I said, I think you want to play. These are relatively new tools that are now being integrated into our most common apps. And I think when you jump head first and start to either take courses, and again, I'm not against taking deep courses in these. It's just that you want to kind of think about how you're going to use these tools before you start taking courses on how to use them, because every professional is different. Every professional has different risks in using these tools and different benefits. And I think you just want to have a general comfort before you decide, I want to do a deep dive in how to really maximize the analyzer and Copilot within Excel and do some really detailed, complicated analysis and report writing within this. And then, yes, you should be looking at other assistants. In fact, Copilot and their integrative apps, I've been given a lot of assistance with Microsoft because ultimately we're first movers. If you're adding this, you're relatively a first mover to this. And so Microsoft wants to help you because they also get feedback information. Remember, generative AI will get better, but it needs feedback to get better. And so Microsoft, to my experience so far, is going out of its way to say, "Hey, we want to help you with Copilot. Here's a particular service person that can help you understand how to use Copilot. Here's videos. Here's apps." I got a whole bunch of assistance. I never got this type of assistance when I added other Microsoft products before. Never. I mean, I'm getting a full suite of sort of service and training because it's also self-interest to Microsoft. They want to make sure I'm a good user of Copilot, but also I give feedback. Hey, this isn't working very well. I didn't understand how to use this. For example, they got some feedback on Excel, right, from my challenge in using it. I've had a call with them. I had to get the autosave. So they're if you add Copilot, I think you're going to get a lot of assistance as well when you play with it and you find like, hey, I want to do this and I can't. Again, what's interesting is this is sort of a Russian one of those nesting dolls, right? If I have trouble with Copilot, I could ask Copilot to help me with the trouble. If I have trouble with ChatGPT, I can ask ChatGPT. You can actually go back into AI to help you learn how to use AI. You can also go to other sources as well. Really cool stuff, though. To me, this is, again, game changing. The big questions: do I need to know how to ask, like how to write a macro, how to create, to use the advanced formatting in Word, how to use access database in a certain way, like how to actually do the work and apply it, or how do I need to know how to write the prompt to get the work done for me by Copilot? We're moving over to that side. And this is where there's concern around what is our skill set that we need to know. Because I went to school, I learned how to write macros, I learned how to use Access Database, I learned how to use a bunch of advanced, even Visual Basic in Excel, the coding behind Excel. That is not uh, sort of redundant. It's still helpful because you can use that information to help you write a prompt. That's how you're going to come back to apply that. How to write prompt writing is really the thing that we have to learn. But do you need to know how to use that information? Will somebody pay you because you're a great macro writer in Excel? If you can show off your pivot table skills, that I'll be honest with you, those are going away. You will not need to know how to do that in Excel because Excel Copilot will do that for you. But you do have to ask the right prompt, and you do need to know what a pivot table does. You do need to know what you're trying to do with a macro. So it's a tricky thing in terms of what the next group of students and professionals that are coming in, what do they need to carry with them when they learn how to do something, then how to transfer it to working with a generative AI partner. Whew, this is exciting stuff, scary stuff at the same time. I'm excited to explore it. So I believe next week, as a preview, I think I'm going to talk about prompt writing. I think that's a good one to get into next week. If I have the time, I'm in my training schedule, so I say next week. It could be the week after, depending if I'm delivering training this week. For all those that were watching, thank you for watching. I'll have to troubleshoot Excel because Copilot was working just before I went on, but now it's auto saving. So we'll do. I think what will be interesting to do a Copilot um, LinkedIn Live with the individual apps. So Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Those are the ones I use. I'm not going to go beyond sort of the comfort area of apps that I use. I don't use Access Database so much. I don't use Visio, Power BI too much. Um, so we'll go with those ones, and I'll plan to do a LinkedIn Live, just maybe exploring how to use those, or at least not how to use it, but how I'm using it. That's probably a better phrasing. For those that are watching, thank you for watching. Copilot integration with Microsoft apps, Excel and Word. It's a I'm honestly, it's what a time to be alive. Some crazy stuff, and the speed of how these things are coming. It's exciting and scary. Excitary. I'm trying to make a word. Scary-ited. Skyrighted. Don't those are not trademarked. I don't think anyone will trademark those. I was trying to combine scary and exciting together. If you have a better combination of those words, let me know because those weren't great. Anyway, until our next time, thanks for watching. We'll see you hopefully next week or at least in a couple weeks from now. Take care.